All right, guys, it is day 18 and it is time for the final flip of the Berkeley 18-day compost test that I've been running. There's something, I went back and looked at one of the old videos, the first video actually, when I created everything and loaded up the compost and did all of that. And I noticed that the compost came up really high in my bin, much higher than it is now. I wanted to show you this. Let's have a look here. Let me go over here to the compost. So if you look here, when I first loaded this compost, I went back to that first video. It was somewhere like up around here or something like that. It was somewhere in this area. Now, as the compost is broken down, it is dropped all the way down to here, and this is the final turn. This is basically the finished product. That's basically the finished product for the Berkeley 18-day compost. So I think that's really interesting that there can be that much breakdown. Now I realize there are things like vegetables that went in had a certain moisture content, a certain level of water in them, and they break down, and water goes out and evaporates and does all that, and the volume goes down. I realize all that kind of stuff, but another element is undoubtedly the microbial breakdown, which is astounding because it's dropped by about half. The size of it has reduced by about half. So I think that's pretty incredible. So in terms of compost today, shouldn't really look any different than 2 days ago. Since day 12, maybe somewhere in the day 12 range, I've been flipping pretty much the same product, but it has retained heat, which means it is continuing to break down. So without further ado, let's do the flip. So yeah, as I like to do, I like to smell the bin that the compost has been in here, and yeah, it's just even more dirt. Like you know, you wouldn't think, once it smells like dirt, you wouldn't think that it would somehow smell more like dirt after a couple more days, but it does. It's just even more dirt-like than it was. So the 18-day Berkeley compost, just going on smell, I would say has created dirt, which I think is pretty cool, pretty incredible. Okay, so there's still a little bit of heat in here. I'm trying to squeeze some water out, and it's very difficult for me to get a drop out. I'm sure that if I went and squeezed it hard enough, yeah, there's one. You know, like I got a drop to come out there, but at the end of the day, I need to try to remember to just add a little touch of water, and I've got some more coffee grounds I can add as well, and once I complete this flip, the 18-day Berkeley compost method is officially over, but it does still have some heat. It's still working. I've got about half of the compost in, and at this stage I'm going to go ahead and just add these coffee grounds that I have here, just all of them, and it'll put a little heat in the middle of it, a little bit more heat in the middle of it, and I'll add a little water at the end. Okay, there we go. So it looks like it's time to say goodbye to an old friend. This 18-day compost is all finished. This is the first 18-day compost that I've ever done. It's only my second compost, well, sort of a third attempt in a way, but only my second real one. And I have to say, of everything that I've looked up, you know, like YouTube videos and everything that I've tried and all of that stuff, nothing seems to me like it's a better method than this, at least in this climate, because I'm in a hot climate with a lot of anaerobic bacteria just flying around all over the place. You know, many more trillions of anaerobic bacteria than you can possibly imagine. And this method, I mean, like when I do this again, I'm going to flip it every 2 days. I'm just going to go ahead and get started on the flips right after 2 days, because at the 4 day mark, it seemed to me like it was going anaerobic, and that's the way the Berkeley compost is supposed to start out. You set it all up and you let it sit for 4 days, and at that point, it had gone anaerobic. That means that it wasn't doing what compost is supposed to do, and it didn't get going really well until I started flipping it every 2 days, until after the first flip, and then continuing to do it every 2 days. That's when it started going well. So that basically means that when I set it up 2 days after that, I think it was ready for a flip, because it had plenty of heat in it and everything. And I think it was good to go. So next time I do this, which won't be very long from now, I'm going to experiment, do an experiment with it as a flip after 2 days, and then every 2 days all throughout it for 18 days. And I'm also going to set it up a little bit differently than people sometimes do the Berkeley compost. I'm going to kind of blend one that I saw of some farmers in Africa, which involves adding some manure and ash and things like that. Anyway, when it comes time to do that video, it'll all be there, like what I do. And I'm gonna blend those two and do it as an 18-day Berkeley compost. And I think it might work. I have a really good feeling about it. I think it might work really, really well. So I may come back and revisit this, because it does have another couple days to sit. Technically, it's kind of actually a 20-day, since the last flip on the 18th day is, you know, it's implied that it's actually done after it's sat for 2 more days, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I may come back, but it won't really look that different, so there may be no need. Okay, so there we go. Thanks everybody. Base gardening.